Pellucidar by Edgar Rice Burroughs. Pellucidar is a fictional hollow earth devised by the American author as the setting for action-adventures fiction described in a series of 7 books. Burroughs, better known as the author of the Tarzan books, was also a prolific author of science fiction genre. The Pellucidar series tells the story of David Innes, heir to a mining fortune, and his inventor friend, Abner Perry, who used an iron maul to drill 500 miles into the Earth's crust. Characters appearing later on include Caveman Tanar and additional visitors from the surface world, notably Tarzan, Jason Gridley, and Frederick Wilhelm Erich von Mendeldorf und von Horst. Burroughs elaborates on hollow earth theories, describing the Earth as a hollow shell containing another world within itself. Pellucidar, the internal surface of the Earth's shell, is accessible to the outside world only via a polar opening through which a rigid airship visits in the 4th book of the series. Although the inner surface of the Earth might seem smaller, Pellucidar is described as having a larger land area because its continents mirror the world's oceans, and its oceans mirror the outside continents. However, due to the concave curvature of its surface, there is no horizon. The further distant an object is, the higher it appears to be, until it is finally lost in the atmospheric haze. Pellucidar is lit by a miniature sun suspended at the center of the hollow sphere, so that it is perpetually overhead, giving a sensation of eternal noon wherever one is inside Pellucidar. The sole exception is a region directly under a tiny geostationary moon of the internal sun. That region is under a perpetual eclipse and is known as the Land of Awful Shadow. Because the miniature sun never changes in brightness and never sets, the natives have little concept of time. The events of the series suggest that time is elastic, passing at different rates in different areas of Pellucidar and varying even in single locales. Also, several characters from the outer world who have lived a long time in Pellucidar seem to age slowly and exhibit considerable longevity. This becomes known through their interactions with people of the outer world, where time remains fixed. Pellucidar is populated by primitive people and prehistoric creatures, notably dinosaurs. The region in which Innes and Perry initially find themselves is ruled by the cities of the Mahars, intelligent flying reptiles resembling Ramphorhynchus with dangerous psychic powers who keep the local tribes of Stone Age human beings in subjugation. Innes and Perry eventually unite the tribes to overthrow the Mahars' domain and establish a human empire of Pellucidar in its place. Before their overthrow, the Mahars use the Sagos, a race of gorilla men who speak the same language as Tarzan's apes, to enforce their rule over their human subjects. Though Burroughs' novel suggests that the Mahar realm is limited to one relatively small area of the inner world, John Eric Holmes' authorized sequel, Mahars of Pellucidar, indicates that there are other areas of Mahar domination. Of the other human cultures dwelling inside Pellucidar, but outside the Mahars' domain, most are at a primitive Stone Age level of development. Some exceptions include the Corsairs, or Corsairs, a maritime raiding society descended from surface world pirates, and the Tseksoks, a Bronze Age civilization. Most of the human inhabitants of Pellucidar share a common language. There are also a variety of animals resident in Pellucidar, including a variety of dinosaurs, lizards, and creatures that are prehistoric and/or extinct in the outside world. In addition, Burroughs creates a variety of fictional creatures to serve his storytelling purpose. Pellucidar also harbors enclaves of various non-human or semi-human races. Among the known races in Pellucidar are the Ape Men, a race of black ape-like creatures with prehensile tails; the Azarians, a race of primitive man-eating giants; the Beast Men, also called Brute Men, peaceful gorilla-like farmers, are sometimes called gorilla sheep for the sheep-like appearance of their faces; The Corypes, a subterranean race of short, eyeless carrion eaters, also known as the buried people. The Ganaks, a race of horned bison men who sometimes capture humans for their sacrificial rites. The Gorbuses, a subterranean race of cannibalistic albinos who are apparently resurrected surface world serial killers that were confined here as their punishment. The Horribs, a race of ferocious dinosaur-riding reptile men. The Corsars, a race of humans who are the descendants of Barbary pirates. The Mahars, the master race of Pellucidar. The Mammoth Men, a tribe of natives that use woolly mammoths as their mounts. The Saber-Tooth Men, a race of cannibalistic black ape-like creatures with prehensile tails and dagger-like tusks. And the Sagas, gorilla-like servants of the Mahars. In the first Pellucidar book, At the Earth's Core, published in 1914, book 1922, the narrator, while traveling in the Sahara Desert, chances to meet David Innes, a mining heir with a remarkable story to tell. Drilling 500 miles through the Earth's crust, Innes emerges in Pellucidar, where he is soon enslaved by the Mahars, a species of intelligent flying reptile, and taken to the city of Phutra, where he falls in love with a fellow captive, Diane the Beautiful of Amaz, and instigates a revolt. In the second book in the Pellucidar series, Innes returns to find the humans' revolt faltering. With great difficulty, he rescues his love interest, Diane, from the sly enemy Huja, and he and his friend Abner build a confederacy of human tribes into an empire of Pellucidar that destroys Mahar cities and establishes a new human civilization in their place, aided by a new ally, Jah the Mezop. In Tanar of Pellucidar, the third in the series, Jason Gridley, experimenting with a new radio signal, detects a transmission from deep inside the Earth, an OSOS call from Abner in which Tanar explains how he and Innes were held captive during a war against the Khosars. Learning that Innes is still in prison, Jason pledges to lead an expedition through the polar opening to rescue his old friend. In Tarzan at the Earth's Core, published in 1930, the 13th in the Tarzan series and the 4th in the Pellucidar series, Tarzan and his Waziri warriors join Gridley's expedition to Inner Earth, where Gridley falls in love with cave woman Jana, the Red Flower of Zoram. Eventually, Tarzan and Gridley succeed in freeing Innes, and then Tarzan returns to the surface. Gridley, however, stays behind to look for other missing persons. Back to the Stone Age, 5th book of the Pellucidar series, was published in 1937. The story reveals the fate of Wilhelm von Horst, a member of the previous book's expedition who had gone hunting on his own and was carried away by a giant pterodactyl. Escaping to other adventures, he finds love with Laja of Lohar, daughter of a tribal chief, and stays there. Land of Terror, published in 1944, is the 6th book in the Pellucidar series. The novel relates the adventures of David Innes on his return from Lohar to Sari, in the wake of the events of Back to the Stone Age. It is divided into 5 adventures: the Oog Women, chapters 1 through 4, Among the Jukans, chapters 5 through 15, With the Azar Giants, chapters 16 through 18, Captured by the Giant Ants, chapters 19 through 21, and On the Floating Island of Ruva, chapters 22 through 28. Savage Pellucidar, last book of this series, was published in 1963, 12 years after the author's death. It is not a novel, but a collection of short stories. The first 3 stories, The Return to Pellucidar, Men of the Bronze Age, and Tiger Girl, were published in Amazing Stories in February, March, and April 1942. The 4th story, Savage Pellucidar, was published for the first time in November 1963 after being discovered in a safe by Burroughs' son, Hobart, in the early 1960s. See our book links below. Thank you.